One side, what up? My nephew, John Black. What up, war? They don't know where we be when we be zoning, right? Nah. 3 in the morning, you're in wondering why is that I woke. I just know I open my eyes, I don't recognize where I'm at. I digress when I recollect. I'm just trying to rewind it back. I remember writing a song to this one.
Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another evening with Blockchain Braun. It's good to be with you tonight. If you would please, as you come into the video, please smash up the like button, like, and share with a friend. Tonight, I want to bring some very urgent information to you. I had to do this video tonight. I couldn't wait longer than I've waited in order to put this information out. And I'm thinking most of you have no idea about the information I'm about to give you. So hopefully this will help you. And with the expert that I send you to after this, I want you to really take 20 minutes of your time. It's going to be very important. Take 20 minutes of your time to watch his video because he is the expert on this subject. I'm just going to give you the information that I know and my thoughts, and then I'm going to point you to him. But you guys have to watch this. This is very, very important. So why are we here tonight? What is so urgent? Well, the urgency of why we are here tonight is that there has been a discussion of a potential U.S. East and Gulf Coast strike of the International Longshoremen's Alliance and the U.S. Maritime Alliance on October 1st, 2024. If you're counting, that is 6 days from now. 6 days from now, you're talking about a strike that includes from Boston on the Atlantic coast side all the way down through around the panhandle of the great state of Florida, up through the Gulf Coast of Mexico, all the way around to the big state of Texas. That's how big this strike is. We're talking about 45,000 workers. I repeat, 45,000 port workers. I cannot explain to you the significance of this. These 45,000 workers want an increase of salary of 77%. Well, why are they striking? Well, let me tell you why they are striking. The reason they are striking is because according to the workers, and I'm going to read this to you verbatim. According to the workers, they're talking about the U.S. Maritime Alliance when they're saying this. Their interpretation of leading wages is polar opposite to ours, the ILA leaders said. Inflation has completely, again, why are they striking? Inflation has completely eaten into our wages and any raises. Everything has become more expensive, even compared to 6 years ago. Our members are struggling to pay their mortgages, rent, car payments, groceries, utility bills, taxes, and in some cases, their children's education. USMX's, or the United States Maritime Alliance's, corporate greed has made them delusional. Profits over people. They have taken advantage of a low entry wage and a tiered progression system for 30 years. We outright reject their position on the new entry wage. 45,000 workers from Boston to Texas, Atlantic coast going into the Gulf Coast of Mexico that are looking to go on strike. Guys, can I explain to you what that will do in terms of supply chain economics and what that would do to our supply chain? You're talking about a serious bottleneck. You're talking about a stall out. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. At a time when we're dealing with inflation that's still at 2.5%, we still hadn't gotten to the goal of 2%. I know they're all cheering about 2.5, but we all know or should know that our economy doesn't run like a well-oiled machine unless inflation is at 2% or under. But we're still at 2.5%. We're dealing with international and domestic security issues. We're dealing with immigration, but then we just sent troops to Alaska, extra troops to Alaska to deal with the Russian and China threat. We are about to send extra troops to the Middle East. So from what I understand, to help people come home, because we're telling people to come home now, because it is not safe for Americans to be international. So we're telling people to come home, especially in the Middle East. We're telling people to come home now because as we see that the Israel and Lebanon issue is getting out of hand. So we sent troops to Alaska. We're sending troops to the Middle East. We continue to send troops to the China Sea because there's a threat there too, as far as China and Taiwan, because we understand that China has expressed its interest in invading Taiwan at some point. You hear remnants of that. It hovers all the time. And we know that Taiwan is a big leader and they have resources too as well. And we know that they have a big resource as far as in semiconductors and chips. So, which is basically the new oil. So we're sending troops overseas, but we're still dealing with domestic issues here as far as domestic security, with immigration and other things. We're also dealing with this inflation issue, which we still hadn't gotten to our goal yet. We have a big election coming up. We're dealing with the decrease in value of our dollar, which continues to decrease. And then we're dealing with people leaving our dollar and people maybe that would do business with us that's going to start their own economy in the BRICS economy. 11 countries on board now. They're adding 47 more in October. And with an additional signing on of 159 additional countries into their BRICS bridge system, which is similar to SWIFT. So now you throw in the fact that we're dealing with that stuff and all that stuff is going on, but then we're going to deal with a supply chain issue. Guys, inflation could really get out of control. What type of inflation is that? I told you there were 3 types of inflation. There was demand pull, cost push, and built in. This is built in inflation, kind of, but then you could throw in possibly demand pull too as well. And the reason I say that, and cost push, I think this involves everything. The built in the workers are looking for a 77% increase in wages. And I told you why they're looking for that. That's built-in inflation because they want to adjust for inflation because they're not able to take care of their regular expenses right now because their purchasing power and their dollar doesn't have the same power it used to have. You can look at demand pull because now when you're looking at a decrease in supply and demand is very high, because if you deal with the supply chain issue and you have the bottleneck and we don't have the supply coming in and the demand is way high, now you're looking at shortages and you're looking at some major price increases, looking at some major price hikes. When you're looking at the scarcity of goods and you're looking at a decrease in supply. So that's going to add to inflation. So the built-in demand pull, and you're looking at cost push because cost push is based on the cost of producing products, but then the cost of wages. Okay. so if you have an increase in wages, so let's say they go through this 77% increase in wages, we have to compensate from that somewhere. So there's got to be some increase somewhere. Maybe you charge the consumer more. Always bleeds over to the consumer some way, somehow. So you're dealing with all of those inflationary issues. But this is huge. This is huge. This should be number one on the list as far as to get straight. I don't know what officials you can send up there to get these people in a room to come about and make a deal, but we need a deal like yesterday. Guys, you don't want to see 45,000 port workers go on strike. You don't want us to have a big supply chain issue. You think we're dealing with something right now? If this gets out of hand, we're really going to be in trouble. That's all I wanted to say tonight, guys. And I'm going to point you to the expert on this, who is Mr. Sal Mercogliano. Once again, that's Mr. Sal Mercogliano. He is the authority on YouTube in maritime economics and supply chain economics. There is none like him out here. Happy to say he's at my alma mater. So great to have him there as a leader and an educator at Campbell University. And so there is no other authority on maritime issues than he is. Former merchant mariner. He knows the business of it. He knows the effects, everything you could possibly know of maritime. So guys, you have to take 20 minutes and watch his video. You can click on it down there within the description. You've got to see this. This is very important to you. It's very important to your family. This is a must watch. Thank you. God bless you. And remember,
my nephew,
always, always, always
John Black.
stay vigilant.
They don't know where
Thank
we
you.
be when we be zoning, right?